Welcome to the Ultimate Gaming Realm, and this is your creator, Dixon, logging on. Not too long ago, I went back to my memory lane of destruction when playing one of the PlayStation launch titles, Twisted Metal, which happens to be one of my first and all-time favorite PlayStation titles that existed. But now in this video, we're going on to one of my favorites and one of the best sequels of all time, Twisted Metal 2. SingleTrac and Sony began working on Twisted Metal 2 since the release of the first one. However, Twisted Metal 2 is the last Twisted Metal game SingleTrac worked on with Sony. And then the following year, after SingleTrac worked on Twisted Metal 2 and the other two last games, Jet Moto 1 and 2, SingleTrac was bought by a video game publisher, GT Interactive. Then in the year 2000, SingleTrac sadly closed its doors. Well, anyway, let's rock and roll with Twisted Metal 2. Now, many people say Twisted Metal 2 is better than the first Twisted Metal game. In a way, Twisted Metal 2 is more superior in most aspects, because the graphics improved a little, the controls improved, and Twisted Metal 2 has more variety of combat vehicles, projectiles, and stages. Twisted Metal 2 does have new combat vehicles, plus some updated vehicles that were in the first Twisted Metal game. And as you can see the cover of Twisted Metal 2, that has no subtitle, just the name Twisted Metal 2. But in the game, at the title menu, it says Twisted Metal 2 World Tour. And yes, unlike the first Twisted Metal game, where it's set only in Los Angeles, Twisted Metal 2 is set all over the world. Los Angeles, New York, Moscow, Paris, Hong Kong, and more. Twisted Metal 2 also has this new challenge mode, which is an exhibition mode where you can choose player and choose as much opponents from 1 to 9 on any stage you want. Now that's freaking badass. The multiplayer mode is badass too. An awesome thing about the multiplayer mode in Twisted Metal 2 is that you can do a co-op tournament. Now that doubles up the awesomeness. Oh, and just like the first Twisted Metal game, for multiplayer, it's a 2-player split screen only. Also like the first Twisted Metal game, Twisted Metal 2 has the same password fiasco. So once again, no memory card is required. The only difference with the Twisted Metal 1 versus Twisted Metal 2, when it comes to passwords, is that the Twisted Metal 2 has a 6-button combo instead of a 5-button combo that Twisted Metal 1 had. And unlike the first Twisted Metal game, in Twisted Metal 2, if you choose one vehicle, you pretty much have to stick with that vehicle. Because if you get stuck on where you left off at, and when you use the password, you're stuck with that vehicle. Which really sucks, because if I fail with that vehicle, I like to try out other vehicles during the same campaign. Now the story in Twisted Metal 2 is set a year later after the first Twisted Metal game, but this time it's all around the world. And once again, Calypso is hosting the show. And this time in the option area, instead of the story being explained in text, you get to see a cool animation video on what Twisted Metal 2 is all about. Hollywood's burning. Calypso, ruler of the earth? Give me a break.
My name is Calypso. Exactly 1 year ago on Christmas Eve, my Twisted Metal contest destroyed the City of Angels. Down below, life has come to a halt as survivors struggle to stay alive.
Calypso! Calypso, what have you done?
Yeah, what have you done, you son of a
With the
bitch?
city awash in flame, nothing left to destroy. I face a dilemma. Where will this year's Twisted Metal contest take place? 14 of the world's best combat drivers have already been chosen, ready to battle to the death in hopes of becoming the victor and claiming whatever prize their brave hearts desire. But where will the contest be held?
Eat shit.
The world will be my battleground. Paris, Hong Kong, Even Antarctica. There will be no safe zones this year, no places to hide.
Yeah, you sure know how to hide, because you're a fucking coward, Calypso.
Understand? No one will be safe. I promise you that.
Including you, one day.
To Twisted Metal.
And not just that, all the endings for each character in Twisted Metal 2 is an animation video as well. Now that's pretty amazing. If you choose the easy difficulty setting, they will only let you through the tournament half of the way. They'll let you fight Minion, who was the main boss from the last Twisted Metal game, which in Twisted Metal 2 he's the sub-boss. But fighting Minion as far as you go on the easy difficulty setting. So the only way to get through the game completely is having the difficulty setting on either normal or hard. Now the main boss of Twisted Metal 2 is Sweet Tooth's father, Dark Tooth. And he's a huge and tough son of a bitch. And you will be facing two forms of Dark Tooth. Now, there are 3 unlockable stages that can be played in either challenge mode or 2-player mode only. And there are 2 unlockable vehicles that are playable. Sweet Tooth, for some odd reason, is one of them. And the other unlockable vehicle in Twisted Metal 2, take a wild guess. Think of the first Twisted Metal game. Who's the only character who is non-playable? And who's the main boss? If you guess Minion, then you are correct. Yes, Minion for the first time is playable. And as I said in the first Twisted Metal review, Minion is powerful as all goes around. But this time if I unlock him, I have the option of controlling him. As much as many people saying Twisted Metal 2 is better than the first one, however, to me, there are some downsides with Twisted Metal 2 when comparing it to the first one. 1. They don't have all the vehicles from the first Twisted Metal game. Of course, I would understand the limitations, but some of my favorites that were in the first one, such as the Yellow Jacket, Crimson Fury, and Pit Viper, are not in Twisted Metal 2. 2. I like the soundtrack from the first Twisted Metal game better. Don't get me wrong, the soundtrack for Twisted Metal 2 is still awesome, but I prefer the soundtrack from the first Twisted Metal game the most. And 3. The awesome cockpit camera view that was in the first Twisted Metal game is absent in the second one. And that was one of my favorite things about the first Twisted Metal game, is the inside car view so you can see the awesome interior decorations around the wheel and dashboard in every vehicle. Overall, despite not having all my favorite vehicles from the first Twisted Metal game, and the lack of the cockpit view, Twisted Metal 2 does have a lot more variety than the first game did. And Twisted Metal 2 is bloody awesome in its own way. And just like the first Twisted Metal game, the replay value for Twisted Metal 2 is pretty high. And both Twisted Metal games are not difficult to find, physically, but you can also find them both on the PlayStation Store for the PlayStation 3. Now, before I call it a video, just because SingleTrac closed its doors doesn't mean it's the end of Twisted Metal, because the Twisted Metal franchise is property of Sony, and there were 2 more sequels on the PlayStation with a different developer 989 Studios, but they're not nearly as successful as the first two games were. One of the main reasons why is that the main genius behind the Twisted Metal franchise, David Jaffe, didn't have anything to do with Twisted Metal 3 or 4. So that's kind of the reason why those two games were not on the PlayStation Store for digital purchases like the first two games were. So you'll have to get the regular disc copies of those ones. I will probably get around those Twisted Metal games and the ones after that eventually. But right now I'm going to move on with my other projects. And as far as my memories with Twisted Metal on the PlayStation is concerned, I actually lost interest in them after the second game, so the first two games I had fond memories out of the most. And that's all there is to it. Thank you all very much for watching. This is Dixon of the Ultimate Gaming Realm, logging off.